This is where you do the thing.
Yep.
Oh, this is where I start. Okay. Hi, I'm Scott Koblish, and this is Splash Pages. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Is the one obvious thing.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. You are watching Splash Pages. My name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. I can already tell this is going to be an awesome show. And you know what? We're just going to get right into it. Carrie, how's it going?
Going great. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm back on Splash Pages. We're going to have some fun tonight. We have a great guest. We have a lot of things going. We have a really fun comic, and I'm really sad that I live in Nebraska because otherwise I would have been celebrating this comic in a very different fashion. But let's head over to Charger and see how he's doing right now.
I celebrated in the right fashion. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Wow, man. But hey, it's Tuesday night. We're gonna get all groovy. Deadly Grounds coffee going, and over to you, Drew.
Thanks, Jar. That was wonderful. We couldn't tell what you were celebrating. Hey, everybody. We're another Splash Pages. We're all really excited. It's been a really crazy week, and it's only Tuesday. So, hey, got that going for us, which is nice. And we have some great news, but we also have a terrific guest. You've most likely read, if you've read Deadpool, you've seen this guy's work. He's done I think 600 issues according to Wikipedia. But as we've learned from our guests, sometimes Wikipedia exaggerates. Probably it's 6,000. Artist extraordinaire, Guinness World Record holder for most characters in a cover. A super great guy, the hilarious, the one, the only, the many deaths of Mr. Scott Koblish.
Yeah.
Hello. How are you? Here I am.
There he is.
Thanks for joining us, Scott.
Yeah,
of course.
Dude, this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
We got to read a fantastic story that you cartooned, and my God, man, if I must start reading more Deadpool, I guess, because if you guys collaborated together like this on Deadpool, I missed out.
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
Scott McTiernan was such it was so funny because Scott, like, I'm a fan of the Deadpool work. That's where I got introduced to your work first with your work with Brian Posen and Jerry Dugan doing the inventory issues of Deadpool, which were always hilarious. And then, and then just seeing that, and then you did more work on Deadpool 2099 with when Jerry was just doing it, all this. They're just seeing like you guys come back together for Scott McTiernan, and then just the whole thing was like this is 2012 all over again. This is good, man. This is nice. This is fucking crazy.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, Scott McTiernan was awesome. It was Jerry and Brian Posehn and me, and we just kind of went to town on a character. There it is. Yeah, it's super fun. It's available now. You can pick it up from Image. It's on Amazon. It's on Borders and Barnes and Nobles and any comic book store that is probably, you can order it. Or hey, there you go. You got the first issue.
Yeah.
Of that's what it started out as. It started out as I guess Jerry had an idea. I guess a year ago, there was a comic book release date of 4/20. So Jerry thought he'd take advantage of that, and the more we got talking about it, the more I kind of got intrigued about it. And then we cobbled that thing together. It originally started out as more of a serious book because we wanted to talk a little bit about the actual war on on drugs. But then after a while, we got a little skittish because we just weren't sure what likenesses were in the public domain and what were not. If we started talking about specific people and the war on drugs, get into some trouble. And then, and then at some point, Brian and Jerry, I don't know which one came up with the concept of a weed thing. And at that point, it was all we just we took this one guy who's he's going to do pretty much anything that he's told to do. And then he has a little bit of a psychotic break and decides that war on drugs is just not helping anybody, which it honestly wasn't. So,
right.
Well,
we all knew Nancy. We all knew Nancy there. She was stuck out.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there it is. Yeah, that's all that stuff. Yeah. See, and after that they kind of put them under there. But the great stuff about it was we really wanted to try and hit you in the funny bone, and then at the end, like, really put it to you that there's some serious stuff at the end. So
there was a lot of morality going on.
Absolutely. I live in California, and it's all legal now here, and there's literally like places that just look like Apple stores, and you go in and you can buy weed. It's but when I was a kid, it was illegal, and I had a whole bunch of friends that went up the river for it, and it pretty much ruined their life. So it's weird. You'll go to one of these stores out here now, and it's just some 20-something happy girl that came out to California to try and be an actress and is now just your bud tender. That's what they kind of call it. And it's just fun to see, like, a person happy, excited, and they have all sorts of information about what to smoke and what not to smoke, and but when I was a kid, it just was awful, that people would just get arrested. And like I had a friend that it just completely ruined his life. Last time anybody saw him, he was working at a Walmart. Once you have a drug record, it's really hard to get jobs. His brother was like a nuclear physicist, but it didn't matter. The same thing didn't happen for him. But
right.
So at any rate, I was super glad that the war on drugs was over. But then we had a character that we kind of were like, well, what do we do with him next? And then we thought, well, we'll just make fun of some stuff. So you can see here, this is all the stuff where we sort of made fun of that E.T. movie. And,
oh God.
We just started,
No, yeah. No, yeah. I mean, Scott, that's the thing that I particularly love being a big movie fan, is that the way that you guys both referenced and also made fun of certain movies. Like I think I was like E.T., Last Action Hero, Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah.
Those are like three that I was I was like, oh wow.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Brian and Jerry are especially big fans of like 90s and sort of schlock horror kind of things, and I was like, yeah, good, you know, like it was really fun. That I love drawing the character. I love drawing all the things, you know, like just stuff that we could kind of like make fun of. And then the last one we tried to do like almost like a Scrooged or a Christmas kind of thing, because the release date was going to be around Christmas. So yeah, we just had a lot of fun with it, and you know, I don't know what'll happen with it next, but I really enjoyed doing it. I keep telling Jerry and Brian we should do more Tales of Wheat thing, you know, so.
Oh, totally.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. No, the whole, I think that's the thing that I just really loved about reading it, is I just feel like sometimes comics just take themselves so seriously, and I'm just like, guys, you should be having fun, because that shows in the work. It's the same thing like with cooking. You know what I mean? Like if you cook stress, the food is going to taste off, but if you're happy and enjoying and loving it, the food's going to taste amazing, whether it's desserts or pasta, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's that's part of it. You know, I've loved comics since I was a little kid, and I want to impart that kind of joy back to people. You know, there's room for super serious things where, you know, Superman is wrestling you know, whatever horrible thing he's wrestling with, but there's also the possibility of having humor and lighter touch moments, and you know, I kind of like to have a mix of things, you know, and whenever Brian and Jerry and I are in the same room, it's kind of, that's what we do, is kind of humor, you know, like even in that thing there was an egg character that I'd thrown in, and Brian and Jerry were just like, well, what do we do with this egg character? And then I was like, well, we're going to kill him, you know, at some point. And then they were like, well, we can use all these egg puns, you know. So like he died sunny side up and hold on to your huevo, things like that. It was just kind of fun to like do like these little things, you know, like, you know, because it's just a bounce back and forth, like, especially on this project, like, Jerry and Brian would have a couple ideas, and then I'd go and I'd draw some stuff, and I'd add some things and send it back to them, and then they would come in and dialogue it. You know, it was just a lot of fun. It was, I thought we worked pretty well together. So,
absolutely. And I did it because I noticed that a lot of your work, or at least with Deadpool, like later on, you were very fond of, or at least you got a lot of those lost issues stories. You know, like, you know, and those are always some of my favorites, like this alternative take of Demon in a Bottle, or I remember one, I think it was Deadpool Spider-Man. It was like the lost story of Spider-Man. And it was, How did those come up?
We had
like,
we had so much fun with it. I guess it came up, I think that they had done the first story arc when Jerry and Brian had jumped on. And then the editor, I had done some stuff for him of like 80s X-Men, late 70s, 80s X-Men stuff, something X-Men First Class. Right. And then when they did this one inventory issue, it was supposed to be just one inventory issue. It was a dumb idea that they had about like Tony Stark and Deadpool sort of meeting up long before Deadpool really existed, because they wanted to make fun of the Demon in a Bottle story. So, and then what wound up happening is that the script asked for one thing as far as a design, and the editor asked for another thing as far as design, and I got a little confused, and I was like, well, why don't I just draw a couple designs for you for what the character would look like in the 80s. And, you know, I did like a 70s Deadpool and a 60s Deadpool and like a cowboy Deadpool. Like I drew a couple different things, and we wound up over the next years just using all of those, those kind of ideas. So once we did the 80s flashback story, we were like, well, Jerry and Brian did a 70s kind of throwback story, just as a kind of a like a joke about 70s movies, and then we did a 60s one and a 50s one, and I would research each kind. In a 90s one, we did like I would look up like Rob Liefeld's stuff to see exactly what it was that he was doing and how he was doing it, and then I'd look up all sorts of easy comics from the 50s to see how they were doing things, and I try and incorporate all of it. And the colorist we had was spectacular, Val Staples. So Val would go and he would actually scan old comics in order to have like stuff that had been water damaged or like some scrapes or things like that, and you put it as a layer over everything, and it just worked out really well. Like we did a whole series of them. They collected it in a trade called Flashbacks, but it was just a lot of fun to do. Like the 90s stuff especially was really interesting to tackle, just because I had never really thought about how a guy like Rob had approached his design sense and his panel sense, and it's backwards from the way that I kind of work. Like I'm always working like as far as like I'll get a script and I'll sit down and I'll try and figure out like what the main motions are and then try to design something for it. But for him, like the design was like a major part of how he would lay out a page, and then it's just one of those things where like I tried to do it a little bit like him, and I found out that I was working a little faster, I was working a little smoother. I think the storytelling was okay as well. So it's just little things like that where I picked up stuff from this person and picked up stuff from that person. The Steve Ditko story was very similar. It was like I really not studied Steve Ditko, but I'd read it obviously. So I sat down and I really tried to like take a look at his work, and his stuff is very interesting because it doesn't follow. There's a couple winners and a couple losers as far as design work in modern superhero comics. And Steve nobody really picked up the Steve Ditko torch except for like Ed Hannigan and maybe like a couple people here and there. But the rest of them were following this John Buscema, Jack Kirby kind of like approach. And it was interesting to watch, because there's all sorts of things that they would tell you when you're growing up and learning about comics, and all of my teachers would sort of say, well, don't put the main character in the center of the panel, and then Ditko would do that constantly, just like if you were to like, there was right like in the dead center is like right where the nose is, do you know what I mean? So I was just like, this is interesting to see that like Steve didn't care about this stuff because he kind of predates people teaching about it, do you know what I mean? Like, so he was just doing whatever that he wanted to do. So it's little things like it's kind of like taking an apprenticeship from all of these creators. It's kind of cool in its own way. Yeah, that's what I tried to do. So, I mean, I try to do that with anything that I'm working on. I'll see if there's a focus. I did a story recently where the previous artist had spent a lot of time with shading and black areas and mixing and matching, kind of like a John Paul Leone kind of style. And I tried to incorporate bit of it and try to do a little bit of that kind of stuff with it. So it's little things like trying to pick up things here and there to try and learn constantly. It doesn't matter how old you get, it's just how are you continuing to learn. That's the most important thing. So
and you wrote How to Read Comics the Marvel Style. Well, you did the art for that, so just going through that, and that was rather neat. I want to hand that out. I want to give that to my mom now and be like, okay, so that you can understand what I'm talking about here. Take this.
Yeah. Oh, please do. Yeah. I that was a weird. I did that one during the pandemic, and actually I was on issue 2 when the pandemic happened. So I guess it was this time last 4 years ago, and it was kind of weird because like they just kind of were like, put your pencils down, and then about a year and a half later they were just like, well, pick your pencil back up. And I was like, all right. And that was I wish they hadn't printed it so small. They printed it small. I had planned on it being a normal comic book size, but they printed it out as a trade that's a little bit, the lettering is a little small on it for my tastes, but I had a blast doing it. It it was super important to me to sit down and try and think about what I could do as far as all this stuff that you want to be able to show, not only like just a history of Marvel Comics, but a history of comics in general. And I thought that was kind of really an interesting task. You know, and even around that time, I wound up doing a how to draw DC Comics characters book too, which is for Tundra Press or something like that. And it was one of those weird like times where I was like, I guess I'm telling everybody how to do it now. It seems weird. Like I said, I'm always trying to learn.
It was cool reading how to read it while you were showing like, and this is how the motion works, you know, and this is how this works. And so it was like, oh, some really good artwork to describe so that people understand what they're seeing and why the artist draw it that way. I really enjoyed that.
That was very clever. Christopher, I think his name is Christopher. He worked on Gwenpool for a while. I think he's a brilliant writer. So it was really nice to have that start out that way, where like, you know, there's a splash page of Spider-Man, and then the next one is like it's a couple pages where the panels start up, and then they describe why the panels are there. And then they describe like, you know, when he starts speaking, that the dialogue is there for him, and what that looks like, what a thought balloon looks like, what a caption box looks like. You know, just stuff to sort of get people to understand a little bit about the form of the medium and how it developed and how it became just the way that we think of, you know, for all of us, I'm sure we've been reading comics for the majority of our lives. And it's one of those things you don't really think about, like why something looks this particular way, or what its function is. Yeah, exactly. Well, you don't really think about panel borders, you know what I mean, until you sit down and think about what they're there for, essentially, which is to sort of separate a moment in time from the next moment in time. So there's all sorts of things that you don't really think about. I mean, obviously, there's a whole bunch of writers that have studied this sort of thing and discussed it at length. There's a Scott McCloud book out there about understanding comics. That's a great resource. We didn't necessarily want to be exactly that, but and then Will Eisner had written a book, I think, about how to sort of approach fiction and comics and things like that, and short stories. And so there's no shortage of people out there that are looking to sort of explain it to people, because I've noticed that, you know, I think that there's a cap on the audience that just never really seems to. I meet people, civilians, that just don't know how to read comics. They don't really like. They don't grok it. They don't like. There's something about the design or the fact that you have to, like, I'll get questions where the people go, well, what am I supposed to look at first, the words or the pictures? And for me, I guess I'm looking at them both at the same time, really, you know what I mean? But for them, it's a barrier of understanding for them, that they don't really know exactly how to approach it. So we, you know, when we were sitting down to write it, you know, and to draw it and stuff like that, we had, you know, we were thinking about that sort of thing. And then there's a long history of comics. If you even go back to the hieroglyphs in Egypt, and, you know, they're trying to describe things in language and in pictures, you know, because even how you start to read, you know, you'll have an apple. Someone will have a physical apple, and then the next sort of removal from like physical reality is that you've drawn an apple, and then the next thing from that is that you've written the word apple and associated it with that image, and then you take the image away, and then you have apple, and then that word, those 5 letters, is supposed to sort of key something in your head that you know what an apple looks like. You might not have the specifics down. That's what adjectives and adverbs are for. But like, you know, like whereas you have to think about a green apple or a red apple, but you have everyone, if you say the word apple, people have it in their heads, you know, and if you're reading it and you've taken away, even in a book, you've taken away sound, the image, the light, you've taken away everything and just replaced it with these little words that are supposed to sort of key in your head all these images. and nobody really thinks about that function or how it's actually working, because they learn to read when they're very young, and then they sort of like you just develop it as you go along. But like that process it has comics in the middle of it, you know, like where you're learning to read by the image and then associating the word with the image. But for a lot of people, I think they view comics as that stepping stone in between reality and then learning how to read. So I think that they feel oftentimes that they've hopped through that comic book phase and gone on to like real adult things, which are just sort of words and text and things like that. So I think that there is that, in addition to having like that block that people have where they look at a comic book and they kind of can't tell what to read first. I think that there is also that block of I already learned how to do this a long time ago, and I've moved on to the adult stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I think that there's that aspect of it as well. And I think that that's a larger thing, even with comics. In the 50s, they stopped it from being sort of adult themes and things like that. But we've never been able to recover even after we ditched the comics code. It's been 25 years, and I don't know that we're much further in. Everyone does lots of really great stuff, but I don't know that we're much further away from our conception of what comics are in the general public. Do you know what I mean? Like you and I and all of you know that there's plenty of stories, incredible work from everybody in horror and drama and sci-fi and memorials and memorandum and not those words, autobiographies and things like that. That people have in comics, like that the medium shares Harvey Pekar, and it shares Brian Hitch, and it shares just the most random people who have something to say. Evan Dorkin. It's just like there's a lot of people out there that are creating different things. It's just that we don't seem to really be able to break through into the larger culture. And I don't really know what the difficulty is with that sort of thing. But I suspect it has something to do with the process of learning to read. At any rate, so.
What a beautiful train of thought. I just wanted to say that was wonderful. I feel like I really learned something. Did you, Jar?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff I think about all day long when I'm drawing.
I need
It
to
must
grab you
get
on
loud.
Yeah.
one of my other shows.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Is one of your next books Scott's thoughts? Just what Scott Koblish thinks, just you drawing, and you're just thinking, pie sounds really good today. Maybe I'll make some. Just
there's food in there. Yeah.
Yeah, or just what is really the meaning of life? I was like, it's probably not going to run out of ink anytime soon. That's probably
So you mentioned you put together a book, how to draw DC characters.
Yes.
Without name shaming, is there anything that is like really bothers you with certain characters? Like, hey, Batman isn't supposed to wear his boots that way, or something like that.
Well, when I was a kid, there would be certain things that I was like, well, that doesn't look like Batman, because I kind of grew up on. I'm old, so like I grew up on the Batman of the 70s and the 80s, and one of those things where, like, to me, Batman kind of looked like the way that Jim Aparo or Dick Giordano or Neil Adams had drawn him. So it was one of those things that I just couldn't really get past. But then I was lucky enough, one of my teachers, Joe Kubert was one of my teachers when I was a little kid. So I was 9 years old. I started going to the Kubert School.
Wow.
And Joe was really, I was really grateful for Joe. I had in my mind a conception of what everything looked like in comics from the comics that I was reading at the time when I was 9. So George Perez, lots of John Byrne, that sort of thing. And and I didn't really appreciate Joe's artwork. Like as a kid, I was just like, don't care for it. And he was really clever because he didn't just sort of like try and force me into a clone of him. He was just like, well, that's great. That's fine. You can appreciate the people you appreciate, but let me show you the people that I really lionized or really loved when I was a kid. So he showed me all sorts of stuff with Alex Raymond and all the old timey Kniff, all the old timey like newspaper strip guys that everybody was trying to be like, and he really sort of turned my head around as far as what style could be and what sort of things that could be out there. So that when Batman went through a whole bunch of different changes in style in the 80s, that I was able to sort of adjust to it and say, oh, Frank Miller is really interesting, or David Mazzucchelli is fascinating to watch him draw Batman. It's a different kind of Batman than the Batman that I'm used to. And for me, the Batman that Mazzucchelli did that's locked in, and that's my favorite kind of Batman. But it's a Batman that I do a little later. I was a little older. So as far as those things where like somebody's drawn somebody in a different style, I like when people do different styles. I just don't like it when people sort of when they're a little bit more disrespectful for the character. So like if I kind of need Batman to have a certain amount of things in him that make him Batman to me. Detective story. I like to have some of his private life in there. I like to have some of the characters that are around him. So I prefer Batman to act and behave a particular way, so that when I see like a Batman that's like a little goofier or a little bit more like a maniac, like I these things they don't really key in with me, So and even I was doing a project where I had to go through every single issue of the X-Men, and like I got to tell you that like some of the stuff, like especially where people are kind of designing things, like it gets a little repetitive. Oddly enough, like the X-Men themselves, there's so many different characters and so many different possibilities for mutation that you would think that the sky's a limit. But unfortunately, a lot of people kind of get stuck on like, I don't know, if I see another like character design with a black teenager with like goggles on their head, I'm going to lose my mind. Like, I can't, like, it just seems to be a very popular kind of thing. Prodigy had it, Triage had it, Moon Girl. Like it just seems to be something that like in the zeitgeist, it gets used over and over and over again, and then it becomes hard to tell like where, depending on the skill level of the artist, it becomes a little hard to tell like who is this character. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're just sort of glancing, and that's where I think that there's some room for improvement. And it's also where a lot of costume details wind up being incredibly important, because there's a color coding system that comics have that's very useful. Superman is there. If you've got an artist that's not drawing Superman terribly well, it's the character that looks a little bit like Superman but is in blue and red. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then you can sort of say like, oh, there's a character that kind of looks like the Flash. He's in red and yellow. Do you know what I mean? So the color coding is super important, and I'm grateful that we're in a time right now where they've kind of pulled it back. But about 15 years ago, it got a little dicey. I think it got a little gray. I think it got a little. People were moving away from drawing Iron Man in his Iron Man suit, and they were like, well, we can't identify with Iron Man, so we got to have him in his suit, or have him as a child or something like that. Like. There's all these stabs at trying to make comics not exciting in order to try and like tie it in with somebody's life. But I'm like, the whole point of this is I can't walk on water, but I love stories where people walk on water. Do you know what I mean? When someone says like, to me that like, that they would prefer to have a story where it's a slice of life, it's a real life kind of situation, and I just go like, the most popular stories are never going to be the slice of life. It's the ones where a guy rises up, saves his people from being slaves, and at the end of the story, like when they're about to be captured, he parts the entire ocean so that they can like travel through. You know, it's like those kinds of stories are the ones where it's just like it's got an epic feel, it's got an epic scale, it's got a human interest to it, and it's not kind of like this person woke up in the morning and just walked, got some coffee, and then like, you know, we spent 5 pages.
It's kind of like, you know, like we've seen in comics, like the ones that really stand out are usually the ones that took the risk. They really made a point to tell a story that was different. Maybe it wasn't exactly 100% original, but the way they told it, the interest and everything, like, so, you know, again, the weird ones sometimes find the audience immediately, but they will find that audience and then become successful in their own right. So,
yeah, that's the whole thing. Yeah, that's a large part of it. And as far as stories not being terribly original, you don't have to. You're adding something to it. Like it's almost like a big snowball, like of culture. You're just sort of adding and picking this thing up and picking that thing up and making the snowball bigger and bigger and bigger. So like you can pull. The great thing about the United States as far as culture is we've got people from all over the world who are more than willing to tell you their stories, you know. So like it adds to the culture, it adds to the things that we think about, it adds to the way we think about things, language and culture. You know, there are words in different cultures for things that we have multiple phrases for. So like even a zeitgeist or a schadenfreude, like these are words, like a single word that's a very quick identifier of like a feeling or a thought that it would take you much longer in our culture to be able to sort of process, to sort of say like, well, it's the feeling you get when somebody that you really hate, like that guy gets his comeuppance. Do you know what I mean? Like that thing, you can say Schadenfreude and you can sort of jump through it, you know, like so it actually sort of having words that are easy identifiers are really important as far as being able to further the culture, further the thought process that everybody has, and further the amount of things that they can think about in a shorter amount of time. So, and the great thing about the English language is that because England had been conquered so many times, and because the United States has like a huge culture of just like, you know, there's a ton of Native American words. I grew up in New Jersey, so everything, the rivers are all named after the Native Americans are named it. The towns are Ho-Hocus. The towns are all named after all these things. You know, my wife grew up in Indiana, the same thing. Even if you think about Indiana as Indiana, and all the states have like completely different, Colorado, Maine is like a sort of a combination of like Indian and French. Like you've got Illinois is a French word, you know, like you've just got like all these different things that kind of build together in a big mishmash of things that you can think about, you know, that are separate from a culture that's going to just grow up where it's a monoculture. Like even Japan has a very monoculture. It has references to a lot of the Chinese stuff and the people that were around it, but they were isolated for so long. So like, you know, it's great to have like a culture that's constantly picking up things, and comics the same way. Like, you know, the great thing about comics is that you can pick up an image from anything, you know, like you don't just have to have goggles on the person's head. You can pick up an image from somewhere else, you know, like it's great. I love the way that the world works, and I'm endlessly fascinated by it. And I think that you can put that stuff in comics too. So
you tied that around like chef's kiss.
Yeah, are you teaching a class anytime soon? Because
for real, I feel like I just learned a whole bunch. I'm like,
yeah, like I feel like, and it's funny because I'm literally like sitting here and I have an art wall where I have a commission that I got from you like years ago that you did for my partner, which was and this was, I think, the year that you were at Terrific Con. I think that was like 2016.
Oh boy, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and it was really funny because I had a bunch of, at that time, Deadpool, and you signed them, and thank you again. And you're like, yeah, I'm doing these commissions for like $40-$60, and I would like, sold, let's go. And I remember
pre-COVID.
Well, no, yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I remember that so specifically because I was like, can we take a photo with you? And your mom took the photo of it.
Oh, no kidding.
I think it was like your mother or like a relative of yours was at your booth with you.
What about my sister?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it was someone of your family was sitting with you, and I was like, would you mind? Just like, oh yeah, no problem. I do this all the time for him. And you took the photo, and I think you were back another year, and it was like, yeah, I'm doing like full commissions, the whole deal, like $60. And that year I showed up, I was dressed as Deadpool.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. And I remember, and I was like, can you draw a commission? And you were like, I'll try. and I remember you did. And I was like, wow, that's really Winnie the Pooh, but like really violent.
Yeah,
and I was just like, genius. Oh, he did.
Well,
actually,
the great thing about show us.
Yeah. I don't know. I for some reason my Deadpool disappeared. I think he literally walked off the page. But I have the Squirrel Girl 2099 you did for my partner, and
Squirrel Girl 2099. Wow.
Yeah, he had me draw Squirrel Girl in the Spider-Man 2099 outfit. I was like, all right, let's do it.
Well, it's hard because my partner Angie, she used to cosplay a lot of Squirrel Girl, but we also, one of the things I got her hooked on was Spider-Man 29. Like, he's our favorite. So we were just like,
I
can you
always love
combine?
a good mashup.
Yeah, well, here's the thing.
There you go.
Leo, big screen me.
Oh, full color too?
Yeah, man. Look at that.
Scott, we need to become friends.
Yeah.
I'm assuming pre-COVID prices don't still stand.
No. God.
I try and keep my prices reasonable, but yeah, they've gone up a little bit.
Yeah, but
totally understandable.
No, and it's funny because I have another one that I did. I think the first time I was like, "Can you draw Deadpool as a Ghostbuster?" And you were like, "Yeah, come back in." It was like, "Come back in an hour and a half." Like, I got you. And I'm just like, thinking to myself, and I was like, and it's in my old bedroom on my bulletin board. And I was like, it's really Deadpool, like as a Ghostbuster. He's got the proton pack on and
awesome.
And everything. And now that because I'm seeing Frozen Empire this week, I was like, you know what? I think it's time to remember something great. So post in the way.
Yeah, the great thing about Deadpool is that we were able to sort of take from everything, and lots of people ask for really peculiar drawing. So like I'll have lots of friends and they'll be sitting there drawing the 50th time they've drawn Wonder Woman, just the same kind of Wonder Woman drawn over and over again. And here I am drawing, Deadpool, or just anything that anybody comes up to me. Like I had people always want Deadpool and Spider-Man to be kissing, but so I'm like, all right, that's fine. Here we go. And I asked, but they ask for different things. Like one wanted Spider-Man and Deadpool kissing on top of a narwhal under the like just things like that, or like my favorite sketch was so there was a guy at San Diego a couple years back. I want to say almost 10 years ago, and he was drawing anything he wanted, but he would draw it stick figures. So I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. That's an interesting choice. It made it easy for him, so he could draw anything he wanted. But there was one sketch that he had done, and someone came over with it, and they were like, well, this is a panda riding on top of a motorcycle with a dinosaur on top of him through a volcano with a cat god in the sky. And I thought, wow, that's so evocative. But of course, he just drawn it with little sketch, stick figures. Right. And I was like, no. I was like, no, I'm actually gonna go and draw this
nice.
Serious. You know what I mean? And I had so much fun doing it. It's just one of those things where I really the the variety that I can do for people. You know, they'll want like a Deadpool, or sometimes they'll confuse me with Scott Collins, so I'll do a Flash story, character for like it's just lots of fun. Like I get to draw different things. Deadpool is really, and it's gotten me all over the world too. It's because Deadpool is super popular. Yeah. When this movie hits, I think it's going to be the biggest movie for the summer. The new Deadpool movie.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
Yeah, I'm super psyched.
Yeah. So there was one thing I want to ask, and then I want to take over to Leo, because I feel Leo never talks, and then at the end he's like, well, I'm so glad it's my turn, because I have about 5 questions and 3 bullet points each, because he's just manning the screens. But he was like, I got things. I did the reading. There was one thing, I think it's one of your flashbacks, that to this day is the most random 70s thing I've ever seen. I think it was the Thanos copter in Deadpool issue 250. To this day, I would see every once in a while I'd see a Thanos, and I just think in my brain that suspiciously has yellow and white boxes similar to Wade. They're like, don't say it. Go for a ride on the Thanos copter. No, don't. No, I have nothing to say to you, sir. Please don't snap those big old figures. Like,
but that Thanos copter is so funny. Originally it's from one of those Spidey stories, that's something meant for kids. And Thanos is riding on a helicopter. So we've used it a couple of times actually in different stories, and I've drawn it ever since. People want to draw that Thanos copter. So
yeah, man, it was just one of those where I'm like, I can't, because again, like my dad was similar to your point about Batman. Anytime I've ever talked to him about any Batman, doesn't matter what era, it's always, well, Adam West.
My Batman.
Didn't do this. Yeah, my Batman. Adam West didn't do this. But anytime I talk about a Batman villain, if it's not a 60s one, he doesn't care. He does that parents gloss over eyes. Like I'm telling this, I was like, well, Mr. Freeze wasn't like that on the Batman show. And then there was King Tut. And I'm just like, oh my God, I got it. Your favorite was King Tut. Like, Dad, come on. But
that is really interesting. Because my wife's favorite Batman is the Batman and Robin movie, the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff like that. And
holy rusted metal Batman.
Yeah, it's really helpful to watch it with somebody who really loves that kind of thing, because I've also watched that with people who hate it. So
we loved it. It's one of those that we talk about. We're like, this is horrible. It's like, I know, but it's kind of great when you embrace it. You're like, it's great because it's horrible.
Yeah. People just, everyone comes to something. Their first approach to something really matters. You know what I mean? Like if they're having a bad day, if they're having the best day of their life, whenever they see that thing, it reminds them of just being happy, So you have to just take it at that. And everyone's comic could be somebody's first. So,
Yeah. So, someone's first could have been Deadpool and X-Men Origins. I'd have been like, it gets better. It gets
absolutely. Yeah. It's just a different kind of thing. So yeah, exactly. The Deadpool and that Wolverine movie was no good, but it eventually got us the actual Deadpool movies. They're going to be good.
Yeah. So, Leo, do you have anything you need to contribute to the conversation?
I do. But I just wanted to say, Drew, you can let your dad know. Batman 66 is canon now, since Batman is wearing his the Batman 66 utility belt.
That is true. That is what an attention level to detail, because you're reading the Chip Zdarsky run on Batman, and they just let everything go.
Oh yeah. Are you caught up with Batman, Scott?
Oh no, I opened the door.
Which is terrible because my wife works over at DC, so it's a source in our relationship. I'm more of a Marvel guy.
No worries.
Oh really? That's too bad.
I feel like that's a nerd sitcom that's better than Big Bang. Like, he's a little Marvel, she's a little DC. They make it work. Welcome to the Koblishes.
Yeah, she works over there. So yeah. Everyone, I'll just be like, "What's happening in this book?" And she's like, "Oh, I'll tell you." And I'm like, "Right." So that's how we learn it.
Well, just a quick recap. Batman had to jump realities, chasing a version of the Joker. And by the end of the story, he ended up with like a piece of, pivotal Batmans. Like he's wearing like the Dark Knight suit, the 66 utility belt. I forgot whose hand he got. He like lost his hand and he has another Batman's hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jar
I
and
haven't read the
Carrie,
latest
I'm
issue yet.
sorry. Jar and Carrie, I'm sorry. This one's on me. I opened the door. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's
Well,
fine.
Can I have your hand? Then whose hand does the other Batman
Yeah.
have?
It's
Yeah.
the Joker.
He's just
That's
like
the
a good man.
twist.
I don't know. So real quick, like I saw this
That
on
is
your
amazing.
Instagram. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to reach out to you for a commission, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Are you asking for you or a friend, Leo?
Oh, both.
Okay, cool. Just making sure.
I'm the friend.
You can contact me on Instagram or Twitter or something like that. I check like once a week. I'm not terribly great at it. If I'm checking my social media, it means I'm not working. So it just means that like I should be working. You know what I mean? So I check it, and with Instagram, people can sort of ping me, and then I accept requests. You know what I mean? So I can talk to them. And
I got him on the right week, everybody.
Yeah, and I've got a list of things that I can do for people and stuff like that. I'm also coming to 2 conventions this year, 3. One in Phoenix, the Fan Fusion convention in late May. Heroes Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina, one of the Carolinas. North Carolina in June, and then San Diego in July. So, but you can contact me and just get in touch with me. Know that it takes me a little bit of time to get things done just because I'm working all the time. But please do contact me. I love drawing, so I'll draw for anybody, really. You know.
What question you wish somebody would ask for? Something that's like, are you wanting more zany or?
No, I go through moods. So sometimes I'm really in a mood for zany, and sometimes I'm not in a mood for zany. But no, I love different characters. I mean, I did that Fantastic Four cover where I did pretty much everybody in the Fantastic Four.
Yes, you did.
I worked over George Perez for a while, so he would do tons of characters. So, and
I'm a huge Jar Jar Binks fan, and I like having him melded with different pop icons. Like I have a Spawn Jar Jar Binks cover done.
Oh, really?
Darth Sith Lord, of course.
Awesome.
All sorts of different stuff. A Mumra Jar Jar Binks. That one was done by Kevin Conrad. He did amazing on it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But Deadpool Jar Jar Binks, I have not yet.
Yo, Jar, commission the hell out of that because I need to see him draw.
Yeah, let's do it. That's awesome.
I think that may be my Father's Day present to me this year.
Oh my god! Oh my, that's amazing. So there was one question, and then Leo, I'm going to let you have your time.
Yep.
Yeah.
How does it feel that you hold a Guinness World Record for most characters in a Deadpool cover? Because it was so funny because Jar was doing his research and he was like, "Hey, did you know this?" And I didn't want to be like, "Yes, I own it." He signed it. He was like, "Oh, cool." Like,
yeah,
dear,
super fun.
That's
intense. The Fantastic Four one. So the reason that the Fantastic Four one exists, the reason this cover here exists, is because I had that Guinness for the most characters in a Deadpool cover, and that came up kind of weirdly. I had drawn it with a ton of characters, and the editor was like, we looked this up and we think that we've got the record here. And I was like, that's great. So they applied for the record. And then I was at a convention, I think a year and a half ago in Los Angeles convention. And this one guy came up to me, lovely fellow. I just forgotten his name, but he came up and he's like, I beat your record. Like I beat your record for for Deadpool, like it was a G.I. Joe cover, so it was over 300 characters, 313. And I was like, oh man, like I totally respect like the effort putting into it. Like that's a lot of effort to draw all these G.I. Joe characters. I wouldn't even really know where to start. G.I. Joe's a tough one for me, like design wise. So, like we were talking, and then at some point I was like, so how many is it? Like 313. And I was like, so if I do like one that has more characters than that, are you gonna try and win the thing back? And he was like, he was kind of horrified by the concept, and I was like, so I contacted my editor. And I said, hey, I want to do a Spider-Man cover where it's like every Spider-Man, you know, I want to do like 1,000 Spider-Man or something like that. And he was like, well, because I knew Spider-Man was like, it's in the mid 900s if you think about the numbering. So I was like, well, why don't I know 1,000's got to be coming up soon, so I'll ask to do like 1,000. And but they were like, no, it's not for a couple years. But I was on the email chain with a couple other editors, and one of them said, well, the Fantastic Four 700's coming up, so why don't you do that? And I was like, great. That's no one's going to beat 700. So like I went and did that one, and then I've just finished another one. I can't tell you what characters it'll be, but I just finished another one of those, and that's over 1,000 characters. That's like 1,000. I want to say 1,100. I haven't done the final count yet. Like I literally just. So
Is that the one you were hinting about?
Is it Marvel based?
Yeah, that's the one that I was hinting about. It is a Marvel based thing, and it'll come out like. I
didn't even know there was over 1,000 characters. I mean, it makes sense, but like, good lord.
Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been since the 60s, man.
Yeah, so I wanna, you know, they could throw these comics into my grave, and say he tried, you know.
He tried.
He tried.
I know we are at time, but I just had to ask, as we all did, absolutely loved the book, but I got a very Mad Magazine vibe with it.
Yeah. I love that stuff. Well, when you're doing humor, it's hard to get away from the people who did it the best, you know, and Mad Magazine was pretty best humor stuff. I kind of approach it in a similar manner where Mad Magazine, the great thing about Mad Magazine was that it was just chock full of stuff. So the more you looked at it, the deeper you looked at it, the more you get out of it. Yeah. And with comic books that are doing humor, if you've got like one joke on a page, and that joke falls flat, then you don't have a funny comic. But if you have like 5 jokes on a page and one of them hits, you have a funny comic. You know, no matter what your batting average is, as long as you have a lot of things in there and one thing makes somebody kind of laugh, like, you know, like, that's the kind of stuff that you're looking for. Like even on that one, like that little kid is driving that big truck. There's no reason that little kid's driving that big truck. So, and it's like just little demon people in the background. Like you can see, even, you know, I was looking at this, just the drawing. The colorist did an amazing job. It's Hi-Fi, Brian Miller over at Hi-Fi. And they did just that doorknob. If you look at that doorknob, there's a lot going on in that doorknob in the second panel there. Yeah. And they did a great, that's all them. You know what I mean? Like that's them making that a brass doorknob that has all these shadows and shading, and it's just it's such a spectacular job, you know. Anyway, it's you know, that's the kind of stuff that I enjoy. Yeah, you try and pack something full, you know, as much as you can.
I was going through and looking at each of the panels too as we were going through, and this is one where I don't even know if it's just some of them strike out to me because I do some of the art when we do the covers and stuff. And you got to make sure you get things centered right. But was the panel when you were early on when they were going against the team in issue 1, when you just have the whole team and then Agent Earn's head is cut right off so that it's just her bust line?
Yes.
going down.
Yeah,
Was that intentional to be
Yeah,
like,
that's
she's just boobs?
yeah, it's intentional. That kind of stuff is fun to do. You know, like you try not to be gross about it, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun and silly. It wasn't like a, bizarre shot. It's just like every now and then, I'm like,
Yeah.
was that just poorly cut, or was that supposed to be the boobs? I think that's supposed to be.
No,
the boobs.
some stuff is well thought out. I try at least, you know. So, but yeah,
Well,
I really
and
enjoy
appreciate
doing
it.
that. Yeah. Oh, good. Excellent.
Well, we have hit the hour mark.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And he's not a pumpkin.
No,
He's not
no,
a
no,
pumpkin.
no. That happens at midnight, I guess. It's funny. I really threw out the pumpkins. We had pumpkins actually outside of the apartment door since Halloween.
Wow.
Wow.
They
Like,
didn't
my
just
wife-
rot there.
Jill was like, "Can you throw these out?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll throw these." Rather than grow new pumpkins, I was like, yeah, it's probably a good idea to get rid of these.
Right. It didn't grow.
Take a snow shovel because you aren't going to want to pick those up. Just scoot
No.
under there.
No.
Well, it did fall apart. So, like, yeah, I had to kind of like I tried not to breathe in.
Exactly.
Well, we'll let you go, Scott. I want to thank you so much for your time tonight. Where do you like people interacting with you on social media?
Instagram's fine. Twitter's fine too. Yeah, those places are pretty good. I guess it's not called Twitter any longer, but for I'm an old person, I guess. So
It's okay.
but,
X gonna give it to you.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, you can pick me up there. Yeah, ask me any questions. I'm available. Yeah, there's all sorts of comics that are coming out this year, but I don't really know that I can talk about any of them. But there's all sorts of fun stuff. So yeah, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, X. You know.
Awesome. And have you hopped over to Blue Sky yet?
Oh my God. Yes, it's every time.
I'm trying to spread the word of Blue Sky.
Maybe there was. I remember when Twitter was going through its. I mean, it's constantly in death throes now. But it's. When it was during the initial hit, everybody I knew was like, "Come here to this one. Come here to that one. Come here to this one." It's kind of like when Tumblr had trouble. Like everyone had like an alternate thing that they were like, "Oh, come over to here to this Imagelure." You know what I mean? Like they were like,
I want to go back.
So, yeah.
I want to go back to MySpace. I want to have the music on my page again and all that.
I don't know that I have access to my MySpace anymore. I'm sure it's still there. I get emails every once in a while from, what was it, Tom? The one guy?
Yeah. He's my only friend.
Yeah, he's my only friend for a long time. Yeah. Good old Tom. So.
Well, thanks, anyway. Scott. It's been a lot of fun, man.
Seriously, thank you.
Yeah, and no trouble at all. And if I'll try and get out to the Connecticut one again, it's been a long
that'd be
time.
awesome.
My family lives in Massachusetts, so I should be able to do it. Yeah.
Well,
good.
Well, if we find that anything comes out of yours, we'll always speak. You're always welcome to come back for another show. Scott Koblish Part 2. Whatever works. And again, thank you so much for coming on. This was just absolutely great. I honestly, if you ever have a class, we will online audit it.
Yeah.
Fair. All right. I'll keep you to that. All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Yeah, have a great day. Enjoy. Read some comics this week, and do your best.
Yes,
right.
sir.
You as well.
I'm gonna press this little.
Yeah, leave studio and then uploads page.
Okay, leave and open uploads page. All right, have fun, everybody.
You as well. Thank you, Scott.
We did it again, folks.
Hey.
That was
I seriously could just listen to him talk
an
hour. And it was I mean, look, I didn't, none of our guests have been like, oh my God, what an idiot. But that, I was like, go on.
Continue, sir.
I felt bad interrupting him because I was like, I felt bad. I felt like I feel like it was the one of the times where Carrie, all three men in this corner were their ADD was silenced. We were just like, listen to the code. But I felt like bad interrupting him because I was like, whatever joke you have is gonna be funny. Okay. Like,
I want
I
to
was right
art
there.
of storytelling and like the landscape of language shows that you just be like, and this is how you get. You're going. Oh,
Oh,
you just
you're gonna
told
hear
the
me
whole
all the time
episode in
now.
like 15 minutes.
Leo,
We've been
I'll
planning-
be telling all the kids. Maine's French. It's a French
Leo,
word.
Leo, I'm
Yes,
sorry
sir.
to say, he just messaged me. He has an error page.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got an alert about some browser, so
Instagram's
maybe
been-
send him the uploads page after.
Hold on, I'm just gonna reply.
Or let me give it to you now. I'll give it to you via Facebook.
Oh fuck.
Or I could do it in private chat here.
Yeah, do it in private chat here.
Okay, there you go. All
These
done.
are the things, everyone, that happens behind the scenes. You don't know. There are so many links.
So many links. Only one will take you to the right uploads page. Choose.
So many links and one Zelda.
Have you ever tried that cheat code? Not cheat code, but the cheat to. I think it's not a Link to the Past. What was the Super Nintendo Zelda?
Yeah,
game?
link to the past.
Was that Link to the Past?
Yep.
There's a cheat where you can beat the game in like 5 minutes.
Never tried it. Last time I played Link to the Past was when it was actually I might have done an emulator. But
All right.
whenever it came out.
I sent it to him. Hopefully that works.
Okay.
Oh, you were frozen.
Yeah, well, I had to dip,
We're getting an
you
echo.
know, to send him the message, my man.
We're getting an echo.
Not anymore. Welcome back.
And I'm
Oh,
like,
no.
oh no,
Pop out and pop back.
I hate you all.
Oh no. Ah, I don't want to hear myself.
Yeah, I'll try popping them back in.
Is this better now?
No.
It's oh, what's
Log
going
out,
on?
log back in.
What's going on with his audio?
He popped out. I don't know what he did. He's on his phone. He refuses to use his computer. He has a computer, and like we got him all set to use the internet. And
Is this better now?
how come you don't use your
Yes.
computer?
Can we not? Can we not have this fight again?
I think
Here.
we're good now. At least I can't hear me.
Just for that, I'm going to show you a picture of it.
Oh,
Okay, so while Drew's gone, Drew's here.
there you go. Get out.
We'll just hang him here. I can't put him any lower. Oh.
I
Shit,
felt
the real one.
stupid asking
Okay.
Scott any of the questions I had. Like, all my stuff was like way off topic of what he was talking about. So I was just like, shit, man. I don't want to ruin his flow.
Dude, I'm
Listen,
so glad that I started reading how to read comics because that was like a
All
Oh,
right.
yeah.
So it's a really short news week, so I just say we just plow through what we have and then we just call it a day.
Well, but before that, I do have one question for you, Drew. You're not going to ask what it is?
Wait, what? You
The
son of a
goddamn
bitch.
button.
You know what, Leo?
Yes,
I would throw down, but I would even throw some fangs.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Yeah, he really
Are
does.
we
need a
ever
gun.
going to be done with this friggin' blood hunt?
For real.
Nope, not until May 1st.
oh no, we're gonna be hearing about it for years. Okay, so I got Verne to watch this week, y'all. On the off chance that you've been living under a rock for the past couple of months, Jed McKay and Pepe Larraz are releasing a series and crossover event this May in the Marvel Universe involving all the vampires. And it's called
All of
Blood
them.
Hunt. All of
Oh,
them.
nobody's like that.
All for millennia. And
Even Thor's a vampire.
everybody's vampire. There's vampires everywhere. And they're doing covers for everybody's thing are going to be vampires. There's darkness and we've talked about fucking vampires and Blood Hunt. Sorry. So anyway, they're doing this Blood Hunt crossover, and one of the taglines for Blood Hunt is "Who will bite it?" So the following
all suck.
Fang variant covers. These are going to be variants for the main Blood Hunt series, with main characters taking a chomp. And these covers are done by David Baldean?
Yeah, Baldean. Similar.
Okay. So the first one is obviously for Blade. This will be released on the 1st of May for the first Blood Hunt issue. And yep, that's Blade's mouth with Blade written on it and fangs.
That's so weird. I'm not sure I like that.
You see, yeah, you can see like he's got old school fillings back in the on all of his.
I got
he
those.
Apparently didn't brush very well as a child. So next one.
Are those silver fillings? Wouldn't they burn? Or is that werewolves only?
Oh,
good question.
Does silver do anything to vampires in the Marvel Universe?
Silver, I'm not sure, because silver can be used like they couldn't be seen in silver mirrors, but I'm not sure. We'll have to call them and ask. Be like, excuse me.
Yeah, because isn't like silver like the cross has to be made? No.
Oh God.
Fuck it.
Sure, it's like, why'd I come back to that?
No, I came back and you guys are discussing the implausibility of the weaknesses of the vampire in the Marvel comics. I was like, Blood Hunt, for the love of God, let it be May 1st so we can start to end this madness. Thank you.
Hold on.
I'm starting to get interested.
So see, kids, back in the day, they used silver for fillings.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't really use like lead or anything, because that would be bad.
It'd drive you insane. Our prices are so low. Oh, look at this. They have one for Dracula.
Dracula needs some Botox in his lips. This is Dracula.
Yes, something's going on there.
On May 22nd. So, and Tigra, who has...
I don't like these.
Nice teeth.
Nope.
At least. And a very fun nose, I think. I don't know.
It looks like a spider almost. Like her wrinkles make it look like it has spider legs. Spider nose.
Nope.
This will be out on June 5th. But yeah, so this is the latest line of covers that we're getting. And if you haven't been watching us for the past few months, we've probably done
what have you been doing?
50 different variant covers for Blood Hunt things easily.
Oh yeah.
For stuff. And
I think every week we've had at least one variant from Blood Hunt.
And sometimes like 20.
At one week that you did like 7 stories was
yeah, all the Marvel moment reference covers, there was like 45 of them, and I was like, dear God, I'm sorry, Karen Liam.
Yeah, I have fun doing the artwork for us. It's a zen thing for me, but every now and then you're like, we had to start doing it in this different format because there were enough covers that we took up too much room in the StreamYard platform. We couldn't add enough pictures to keep it going. So,
but it caused us to figure out a different way.
Yes. And so, and there we go. So it all worked out. But yeah, so that's your variant covers for this week. Variant watch is done. We didn't have that much. Drew, actually, there's some other covers in the news, but they're actually stories.
Other covers in what?
In the news.
Drew's News. Exciting tales, fresh comic views. In the pages, heroes fly, villains plot under the sky. From Gotham's dark to Metropolis views, we cover stories old and new. Drew's News, your daily source for comic clues. Join the fun, it's a heroic cruise in the world of Drew's Comic News.
God, maybe Screen Rant will take me back.
You don't love us anymore, Drew.
It's not that I don't love you. I just feel like we've come to the point where we're so comfortable we can just do things like this, and we still think the magic can't die any further.
I just love it that whenever I do like a short with Drew in it, is the thumbnail YouTube always picks is like him with his hand on his head.
Yeah, I feel like that would be me in a shirt, like splash pages. You're a fucking idiot.
Is he Professor X or is it Drew Mallow?
Yeah, exactly. It's just the. Oh God, get out already!
I thought
my X-Men to me.
Come, my splash pages. We must talk about comics.
Speaking of that, anybody check out the new X-Men 97?
It's out already?
I thought it came out. Yeah, I thought it was this week.
Is it? I thought it was next week.
Thought it was.
Maybe you're right. Let's
is that is that your segue to your news, or are we doing Jar's news?
No. We're doing Jar's news, but
97.
Yeah, I know. Invincible's back too.
Yeah. I saw that just the other day that there was a new.
I got to catch up. I'm still so behind on all this.
They're pushing it as a new season, right?
Comes out
no continuation of the existing season.
Is it a continuation? Okay.
Yeah, both are actually.
Yeah, X-Men 97 first episode date is tomorrow.
Ooh.
Hey, Leo, is there a way that you can adjust my volume? I can't hear you guys as well as I could before.
Not on our side. No.
Okay.
Volume would be on your side.
All right.
I can't wait. Are they only giving us one episode? Yeah, it's Disney Plus. We'll probably get like 2 or 3 episodes and have to wait for each single episode.
Yep.
Dribbling out. They call it trickle down television.
Trickle down telenomics.
This is me. Okay, hey. So Deadpool role plays the Marvel Universe. This is coming out in July. Hit shelves in July. This summer, Marvel's beloved anti-hero Deadpool is making a splash in the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game with his own playable adventure. Deadpool role plays the Marvel Universe. It's an exciting addition to the game, offering a standalone RPG experience in the comic book format. Crafted by Cullen Bunn, known for his work on Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, the adventure kicks off with the comic story introducing players to the mayhem ahead. Players can step into Deadpool's shoes and embark on a fourth wall breaking journey straight from the pages of Marvel's, or they can insert their own characters into the chaos. It's designed to complement the existing Marvel Multiverse role-playing game hardcover. This new adventure promises to bring even more fun to the gaming table. Launched in August of 2023, the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game has quickly become a hit in the tabletop gaming community. I myself had never heard of it until now, but I'm very interested. Both the core rulebook and Cataclysm of Kang expansion are already out and available. You can pick these things up at anything like Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Target. They're everywhere. But it seems like a really cool RPG. Oh.
I played Marvel superheroes back in the 90s. Actually, I had a friend who had like the book from the 80s, and it was super fun.
Yeah.
Like, you could pick any existing superhero, or they had a roll random powers list kind of thing in the back. And I remember one of the ones that I didn't think was that cool until I saw what you could do with it in Mortal Kombat was prehensile hair. Because you're like, okay, so you can make your hair move. What is that? Oh, you can kick some ass with moving hair, if you have enough of it. And now I do. But I played Madcap, so it would be fun to play Madcap in a Deadpool RPG, I think, having the two of them running around together.
Noted.
You got to have a good DM, though. Like, without, what would it be for a Marvel game? Not a DM.
GM is generalized for Game Master.
Oh, okay. Game Master.
So, Game Master.
I've tried playing with one of the kids groups, and their DM just was horrible, so I could not do it. I fell.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
No.
What's next on the news list?
X-Men.
More X-Men.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of elaborating on what Leo talked about last show. He mentioned the relaunch. This is a bit more of the details.
Yeah, this is a lot of details, actually. So Marvel revealed at South by Southwest, the upcoming series X-Men from the Ashes is set to commence after the Krakoan Age concludes, as we talked about last week.
Right.
It'll feature 3 main comics, X-Men by Jed MacKay, seen here, and Ryan Stegman. Also, Uncanny X-Men by Gail Simone and David Marquez.
Oh, yeah,
And
I remember this.
Yeah. And Exceptional X-Men by Eve Ewing and Carmen Canero.
Mm-hmm.
And these series are going to venture into new regions of the mutant narrative. So it's going to be past Krakoa, and the X-Men find themselves dispersed without a shared headquarters, exploring different facets of the X-Men's core ethos throughout their history. So with the Jed MacKay one, we'll go back to this here. It's going to be on sale July 10th. And Krakoa is no more, but the X-Men fight on. So this is the official synopsis. From their new base in Alaska, the X-Men raise a flag of defiance, join Cyclops, Beast, Magneto, Psylocke, and Kid Omega. Oh, and also Temper, formerly Oya, and Majik and Juggernaut, as they assemble against new forces battling the destiny and philosophy of the mutant species. Mutant business is their business. That's the official synopsis. Uncanny X-Men #1. And so we're getting all new #1s. Amazing.
And we're going back to the
90s.
Are they doing the 90s style for, or is that
Oh,
just for the
hold
cover?
on.
Oh, Jar. Let him finish.
Like I mentioned, by Gail Simone, Dean Marquez, on sale August 7th. So Uncanny X-Men #1, the official synopsis: outlaw heroes once again. The X-Men embark on a new mission, making themselves at home in the Big Easy. The X-Men protect a world that hates and fears them. Join Rogue, Gambit, Nightcrawler, Jubilee, and Wolverine on explosive superhero adventures. Uncanny as ever, the X-Men are back to saving the day, mutant style. And then the third book is Exceptional X-Men #1. On sale also August 7th. And September 4th. I scrolled way too fast. So Mutantkind's 2 greatest teachers mold the next generation of X-Men. Kate Pryde has returned home to Chicago following the war on Orcus. Having stepped away from the world of mutantdom, she is nevertheless called back into the action as she crosses paths with a trio of new young mutants, Bronze, Axo, and Mealy, who clearly need training and guidance. Unfortunately for Kate, Emma Frost thinks so as well. So there's also going to be a new promotional artwork for X-Men from the Ashes with Ryan Stegman, Marty Garcia, featuring characters from the upcoming series. A sneak peek will be available through Free Comic Book Day 2024. Blood Hunt X-Men #1 in May, and a special prelude to X-Men 35, which is also monumental. 700th issue of Uncanny X-Men. And they released a picture. I wonder if this is going to be... So this is going to be connecting covers.
Well, yeah, it's all Stegman's work.
Yeah, we are back to the 90s.
I love it.
Woohoo!
It's true.
Got to get 41 copies.
No, you do not.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, Leo, 42. I love the bamf up there behind
Nightcrawler.
though. That was just beautiful.
Well, I mean, like I said, I wasn't the greatest fan of the Krakoa era. So for me, this is just like kind of the X-Men that I know, the different teams, doing the thing, all that. And then as you saw down there, they're doing a bunch of other books. I think I saw Wolverine, Storm, X-Factor, So,
Yes.
I was like, okay, like it feels like we're going backwards in a bit, but I'm like, no, I'm for this. Like,
even Phoenix again.
Wow. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is the
Excited
kind of
for
X-Men
Phoenix.
I'd be a little bit more interested in instead of, hi, we're on an island. We're just gonna stay there. You aren't
Yeah,
allowed. I was like, oh boy, this could get a little dicey. You know, I've seen this before. No, okay, you know,
Yeah.
Marvel.
Yep.
We'll see how long it lasts.
Well, from Marvel, we'll pop on over to DC with DC Pride. I think this is you, Drew.
Yep. There's a
There's-
lot to unpack here, kids. So DC ahead of when Pride will be debuting this year. They've announced their plans for their award-winning anthology, DC Pride, for this year. And when I mean award-winning, I'm definitely talking about multiple award-winning, from I seem to recall.
Hey, quick question for you, Drew. Since there's a ton of pictures, do you want to go over each one, or you want me to cycle through as you're talking?
I'm going to pause in a bit of each one. I just kind of want to just kind of address the beginning. So this one is DC Pride. There's more than one story, everybody. So I'm going to try to move through it nicely, but giving everybody their props. So this is DC Pride. This will be out May 28th. It's an 104-page prestige book with a main cover by Kevin Wada, a wraparound variant by David Talaski, foil and stark cardstock variant by Babs Tarr, and then the main Wada cover will be offered as the 1.25. I don't know, Leo, if you have any of those in there.
I'm not sure.
That I don't know. That would be a.
It looks Babs Tarr, I think. Still nice. Okay.
Oh, it's the 90s swimsuit issue.
All right, no, Leo, that's the next story. So, so basically, amongst the collection, because we're gonna have a ton of characters here, this Eisner and Ringo award-winning book. So there's going to be an autobiographical story written by Phil Jimenez about the worlds that shaped him, brought to life by Giulio Macchione. Dreamer, the character played by the now writer Nicole Maines, makes her first pilgrimage to her ancestral planet Naltor. Poison Ivy and Janet from HR go spore hunting on Port World. That's Gretchen Faulkner-Marin and Claire Rowe. Superman John Kent and excuse me, gets Jay, Bunker, and Ray together for a boys' night out. And A-Town, that's by Jarrett Williams and DJ Kirkland. Steel, Natasha Irons, finally faces her breakup with Tracy 13. Oblivion's Pride Bar, Oblivion's Bar Pride, right, words, by Jamila Rouser and O'Neill Ubons. Aquaman, that's Jackson Hyde, takes a ride to the fourth world in time for their annual love festival. That's story by Ngozi Uezuki. Circuit Breaker, story about their powers Fritz in the Phantom Zone by Calvin Kasuk. Plus, there's a Blue Star Man story. So I was like, okay. Written by Al Ewing. There's also character pinups talking about the LGBTQIA community. And yeah. Seems pretty nice, you know. A great collection of characters, great collection of present and upcoming work artists. I mean, like I said, this is an award-winning book, so it's nice to see it'll be making a reappearance.
I think
I'm always happy that DC and Marvel seem to do their due diligence to keep pushing forward with these kind of books and stuff. Even with all the fan hates that come out, and they're just like, "Oh my God, John Kent! No, it's not my Superman." That's right.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing that happened when I think it was Tim Drake turned out and revealed he was bisexual. People are like hashtag not my Robin, and I'm like, you know, there's been more than one Robin, right?
For real, and why not? They're
Yeah.
They're-
So, but
comics people.
and it's funny because, you would think, oh, it's just going to be the one announcement. They're releasing a bunch of books that fall within the category, like this one, which is it's a young adult book, which is called The Strange Case of Harleen and Harley, by New York Times bestselling author of Wicked Lovely, Melissa Marr, teaming up with artist Jen St. Onge. That the story, also color by Jeremy Lawson and lettering by Lucas Gattuni. This is basically the transition from Harleen Quinzel to Harley Quinn. So when Harley signs up to participate in a clinical research trial with her girlfriend Pamela, her goals are only extra cash and a chance to control her anxiety. But instead, what she gets is larger gaps in her memory and stolen mementos from some guy named Jack. Soon, Harleen discovers she's sharing her life with Harley, a take-no-prisoners who cares about attendance, but we ought to say bunnies kind of girl. She's opposite of Harleen, and although she's throwing life completely out of whack, maybe she's not bad after all. So this is a young adult original graphic novel. This is on sale September 3rd. The artwork looks great. The story sounds great. I was like, okay, cool. It's always nice to see a different take on things, and I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, is this going into the whole realm of Harley being a split personality?
Maybe.
It's kind of a Jekyll Hyde type of situation. Maybe?
Yeah.
Sounds like.
What is she a split personality or two different Harleys? Black and white's not canon. Sorry. Ignore me.
No.
It's okay, buddy. The point is you're trying, even if the jokes are flat.
Well, it wasn't a joke. It was like, I was remembering that there are two different Harleys, but that's a Black Label story. So,
Leah, what's the next story?
This one right here.
Yes. So this is related to a real loss. We lost writer. Right. My apologies. Writer Rachel Pollack. She passed away. I want to say if it wasn't early this year, it was late last year, which was a real sad loss because she had a truly wonderful career. She had the daunting task of following up Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol, and she really did her best to make it her own. So DC, to celebrate her and her work, they're publishing a spotlight issue. This will be on the shelves June 6th. It's a 96-page one-shot reprinting her debut of Coagula, which was DC's first transgender superhero from Doom Patrol issue 70, which was penciled by Scott Eaton. And this will include the longtime unavailable one-shot Vertigo Visions of the Geek, which is by superstar Michael Allred, who's just fantastic. And in a final original story, one of Rachel's most beloved creations, Kate Goodwin, aka Coagula, returns to spotlight in a tale of triumph over death, written by Joe Corallo, Rachel's longtime friend and collaborator, and drawn by Rye Hickman. And honestly, I think this is a great tribute to a stellar creator. And I really love it when publishers do this. It was the same thing like when George Perez passed. DC and both Marvel had wonderful tributes to him. So it's really nice when they respect and appreciate their trailblazers like that. So
agreed. Very nice.
So Bad Dream. Funny that we brought up Dreamer. Dreamer, who's the first transgender superhero who ever appeared on TV. She's part of a new young adult graphic novel published on April 2nd, written again by Nicole Maines, who portrayed the character in Supergirl, as drawn by Rye Hickman, with color by Alex Glendening and lettering by Hassan Asame El-Haou. So this story really seems to be really one that focuses on her relationship with her family. The character Naya essentially spent her whole life as a backseat to her sister Maeve, who was expected to inherit her powers from her mother, the ability to see the future through dreams and whatnot. But when Naya starts having visions of the future, she suppresses her powers to protect her relationship with her sister. But soon, those dreams become impossible to ignore, so she chooses to distance herself as she navigates this new reality with powers. She ends up going to Metropolis. She gets swept up in that. Connecting with a group of queer girls who feel more like sisters than her own. And then as she discovers more about her powers being more than a burden, she has a choice. Will she accept her new responsibility as a seer, like her mother, or give it all up for a chance of normalcy? So, yeah.
Looks interesting.
Looks very pretty.
Oh, yes. So, following that, DC will be celebrating Pride all year. So in its monthly books, they're going to have Pride themed variant covers featuring characters in regular and lead roles. So Betsy Koala on Action Comics 1066. You got ALJ Kaplan, that's Green Arrow. That's Natasha Irons. Excuse me. Skylar Patridge on Batman 148. There's Poison Ivy and Harley by W. Scott Forbes. Nightwing, it's Baruka Jones. Outsiders 8, that's Don Aguillo. Suicide Squad Dream Team 4, that's Fatima Wajid. Superman 15, that was Angel Serrano. Flash 10, Nick Robles. And Wonder Woman 10 is by Phil Jimenez and Arif Pirianto. So these all look fantastic. The attention to detail is beautiful. But
God
again,
damn it, Superman better have a rainbow fucking cape from now on.
The one sad thing is I feel like all these beautiful covers just are going to get buried in variant of the week.
Oh yeah.
So, but everyone brought their A game. These covers are great.
Whoa.
Look at that. That's a Phil Jimenez cover. You can tell because he just has it all spaced out so well.
I like how you say his last name. I always thought it was Jimenez. Makes sense. So
I met him once or twice. He's a really dope guy.
Okay.
And then this is, if you missed the previous years of variants, DC has you covered with DC Pride Uncovered. So all the artists put in their work. This is a fantastic array of variants. You're just a robust selection of fan favorites and one time, one place. This is on sale June 11th. Covers Jen Bartel, Fia Jimenez, Jim Lee, Joshua Swaby, David Talaski, Babs Tarr, Chris Anka, and more. You're going to have a main cover by Jen Bartel, other covers by Oscar Vega, Luciano Vecchio, Mateus Mahini, and that cover, which very clearly is a Jim Lee.
They need to do this with more than just the Pride covers. It would be cool to
look at that in color, man.
Yeah, that's friggin' fantastic.
That's just stunning.
That reminds me a little bit of the Hush story. Is that Jim Lee's?
Yeah.
Yeah, very much. I was like, that's Jim. But it'd be great to get collections of different, like all the Batman covers for like New 52 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a great, like, especially for people like Leo who need 41 issues of X-Men.
Yeah, it buys one book instead of 42 and still the same equivalent. Yeah, good times. But yeah, that's all the news there. So I guess, Leo, do you want to call it a night?
Yeah, we'll wrap things up.
Okay.
Kind of like a wrapping cover, right? Maybe
wrap around
cover.
Get out.
Got to get your Invisiboard.
Yeah, there we go.
Get out.
I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. You know how to find me, but more importantly, follow these awesome people And we'll kick it on over to Jar Jar.
Hey, everybody. We had a great guest on tonight, Scott Koblish. See his name down here, right there. That was him. War on Weed. You guys should read this story. It was very great. It has a lot of great stuff in it. But what you should also do is April 6th and 7th, head over to Mohegan Sun for Connecticut GamerCon.
Yeah.
And check out the panels with like David Hayter, Ned Luke, Sean Solo Fontino, Kara Buckland, Kaiji Tang, and Christine Marie Cabanos.
Who's running those panels, Jeremy?
Oh, that I'm so glad you asked. That would be me, Jar Jar Jeremy.
Oh, wow.
So go check that out, please. And thank you. And over to you, Drew.
Well, actually, we go to Carrie.
Oh,
yeah, Carrie.
I'm sorry.
Can't forget
I'm sorry.
Carrie.
I
Look
was
at the
like,
cat.
I'm not used to being second. That's why.
Hinata the other day, she's been greedy. I was eating ribs, and she stole an entire rib bone, and this is how big she is. And she had this bone like,
Oh, wow.
It's an ambitious cat, Carrie.
she couldn't eat it obviously, but she was like licking all the barbecue sauce, but she's like running around with this bone in her mouth trying to evade me. It was hysterical. You can find me here. You can look me up on Carrie Sanders on Facebook. I'm on the Dorkening Splash Pages with these guys. I'm also on the Ally Network, which is part of the Dorkening Network. And this Sunday, if you want to catch us, we are having a Clutch of Personalities where we interview Curtis M. Lawson, who we've had on before. He's releasing a new book, Couch Surfing Through the 12 Stages of Hell, I think. Something like that. Very close to it. Can't remember. But I'll know when I put it up. But yeah, come check that out. And now let's go over to Drew.
What the fuck? Oh, hi. Welcome. Yes. Hey, everybody. Sorry, I saw the cat, and I just wanted to narrate it in a German voice. So, hi, everybody. I'm Drew. I'm normally not this spaced out, but today was a really long day. So my brain started like crashing mid Scott Koblish, so that's why I was a little quieter than usual. But I'm on Facebook. Ghostbuster Man 1984 as the banner, or as reminding you below me right there. No, not that. Yeah, I'm do things. I'm busy, but it's always great to be here. I love these guys and Carrie. Yeah, we have a great time. We're really glad you guys could join us, and we're looking forward to the next show.
And busting makes him feel good.
Shut up, Jarvie.
And do we know who next week's guest is?
Yes, but let me set up for that.
Ooh.
Enthusiasm.
Yes, everybody. And thanks, Leo, for asking about our guest next week, because we have a first coming out for the first time. Everybody, we were able to get him back again. Michael Walsh. We're coming back. We're going to be discussing his fantastic horror anthology book, The Silver Coin. Probably definitely discuss some of his other work. And there's already a 70-30 chance he'll show up. So good odds. But seriously,
yeah.
Michael Walsh, everybody, next week, please read Silver Coin and any of his other work. He's a great artist, and we're all really excited to have him on.
Yep.
Cool beans. With that, we'll catch you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.